Item 10F, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a design contract with BKF Engineers, Inc. for design of the El Camino Real and Angus Avenue intersection improvements project in an amount not to exceed $59,612.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. William Lee, Management Analyst with Public Services. In January 2014, the City, with Council authorization, applied for Measure A Pedestrian and Bicycle Program grant funding through the San Mateo County Transportation Authority for improvements to the El Camino Real and Angus Avenue intersection. The intersection is one of the busiest in the city for pedestrians and motorists. It sits in front of the City Civic Center, which includes City Hall, Fire Station 51, and the library. It is also used by parents and students coming to and from Allen Elementary School in Bel Air. It is also close to downtown, the Tanforan Shopping Center, public transit stops, and major freeways. The intersection was also ID'd for improvement in many of the city's planning documents, including the Transit Corridors Plan, the San Bruno General Plan, the Community Transportation Plan, and will be a key component in the upcoming Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan. The TA approved funding for the project in June of 2014, and the Council authorized the City Manager to enter into a funding agreement in September and incorporate the project into the Capital Improvement Program under the Transit Corridor Pedestrian Connection Improvement Project. The funding agreement commits the TA to fund the project up to $300,000 for both design and construction, with a local city match of $30,000 or 10%, with the match coming from Measure A local streets and transportation funds. Improvements to the intersection will include things such as a second high visibility crosswalk, improvements to the ADA accessible curb ramps, bulb outs, and median refuges. And we have tonight a preliminary schematic of what the improvements might look like. But it is important to note that this is just a conceptual schematic drawing, and if the resolution is adopted tonight and more analysis is done with the design firm, some of the improvements that are shown on here may change, but it does show the intersection and what high visibility crosswalks, addition of median refuges, ramps, and bulb outs might look like. After internal drafts and reviews and presentations to the San Bruno BPAC committee, staff issued a request for proposals in April 2015, seeking a design firm for the project. Staff received 2 proposals, and based on a panel review of proposal content, qualifications, and costs, staff recommends BKF Engineers to complete the design for the intersection improvements. BKF has experience working in San Bruno on the Crestmore reconstruction project and has extensive experience working on street improvements that require coordination with Caltrans. Since El Camino Real is a state route, all designs and improvements must be reviewed by Caltrans. BKF's proposed cost was also 17% lower than the other proposal that was received. Currently, the timeline to complete design is estimated to be October 2015, with construction estimated to be completed by June 2016. However, the funding agreement specifies that the funds must need to be expended by 2019. So if additional coordination is necessary with the BPAC or with the upcoming Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan, there is some room within the timeline to expend the funding. And with that, that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions of staff? Ken?
I know BKF as engineers. I don't know them as designers of spaces, and to see striped crosswalks isn't turning me on. I've seen areas, I've seen communities where they have been pedestrian friendly and they turn them in and they've used different materials and things. So I'm going to ask whether the council as a whole, whether it's a study session or whether there's a preliminary review of what sort of additional designs they come up with as we lead up to a final proposal. And I'd be happy to have, I mean, as far as the BPAC be involved also.
Definitely, there will be some alternatives proposed. Again, this is just a rough
Yeah.
schematic that if we need to change anything that is shown in the picture,
Right.
there's definitely.
And I realize, I mean, this is an intersection, like you said, that you stated. We applied to get a Tiger grant that was hopefully going to get done in the same way. But this is going to set the template of what we just approved $200,000 for a bicycle and pedestrian master plan, and plus what we want to model, the rest of the city of, as for the pedestrians. So I think this is kind of important at this stage, and it's good at this time too. So I just would like to not give BKF too much free rein before before they put it all together.
Councilman Ibarra, you're absolutely correct. One of the reasons that we delayed this slightly was because we wanted to, as you saw with the award of the bicycle and pedestrian master plan, we want to make sure that we coordinate this. And they have great ideas on how to be proactive and come up with the newest design that would be more attractive to the public. And
I would much rather M design it than BKF. Nothing against BKF, but
BKF has a small contract to do the final design, but we are going to rely on our architects to help us with coming up with alternatives so we could share with the council. And we have something that's unique and represents the community. And as we said, this is one of the most important intersections for pedestrians in the city. So we want to make sure that it is attractive and useful.
Great. Irene?
Thank you. Are you going to run this by traffic and safety commissions?
Definitely, we gave, they were involved when we were doing the initial reviews of the RFPs. We let the TSPC know that this project was upcoming and that they would be involved when we were designing the intersection.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
Good.
Through the chair.
Michael?
Seems like $60,000 you could probably paint those stripes on there and just do it. So it seems like a big to do. I know that the TSPC had put together a whole toolkit of traffic calming things, all the things that we knew were effective in calming traffic. And if we have specific issues, I'm wondering why it has to be so elaborate. I mean, if we need a cross, I mean, I know that intersection. I go across it a lot, and I would love to see some big noticeable crosswalks there. I don't see why it has to be so involved.
Councilwoman Becerra, you are correct. However, this is not just the crosswalks, as you can see. There is engineering involved in analysis. Caltrain is not going to allow us to do anything in this intersection unless you show actually engineering design that shows how exactly we're going to implement this. And it involves not just putting a crosswalk in, but extending medians, extending possibly bulb outs into the area. So these are like different options. And the coordination with Caltrans, I'm sure that you know how long Caltrans takes and how much information they need in order to approve. So it involves a lot of engineering design and plans that needs to be submitted and applications filed with Caltrans. We will make sure that if any of the amounts is not used or it's not needed or is supplemented by the architectural designs that we will hold that. This is a time and material not to exceed. So whatever is needed, we will use. Whatever is not needed, then it could be left over at the end of the project. But we expect that this contract will be used up because of the coordination with Caltrans and a number of iterations we have to go back and forth with them in order for them to allow us. This is just a very conceptual idea that it came up during the interviews. This is not what we're going to implement. This is just to show you that there are different elements and just the geometry of what this intersection looks like.
Okay. And the overall cost, including construction and design, is going to be $330,000.
That is our budget, correct?
Okay.
Maximum.
All right. Thank you.
Good. Anyone else? Next time we shouldn't bring a picture, I think.
Yeah, I think
Here's the design right there.
the misunderstanding is that each corner and is probably going to get an expanded sidewalk area, which you're referring to as bulb outs, and then the potential that in front of City Hall, that will also be widened also. So wider sidewalks, larger sidewalks at the corners, in addition to high-profile crosswalks.
That's correct, Council Member. This is basically, what you see here is what was originally submitted for the grant approval. This is not necessarily what we will end up with. This is just one idea that when we submitted for the grant, we said it could include any or all of these different amendments to the intersection. However, once we come up with the final design and the alternatives, this could change as long as we're within the limits of the grant and it's for the improvements for the pedestrians, for the intersection. We could make the changes as necessary to bring it up to something that's feasible within the budget, $330,000, and would be something that would be attractive and would make pedestrians more comfortable in crossing. You all have probably crossed this intersection. I cross it 2 or 3 times a day just to go into downtown or in this area. We got the library, we got the schools. The school kids actually go in both directions, both east and west, to 2 different schools. So we have a guard there, crossing guard there. So this is a very usable and very prominent intersection for us. And we're going to make sure that we put enough staff time that make this a good project for us.
Good.
Through the chair.
Michael?
Let me ask one more question. Is there not another intersection anywhere in El Camino, somewhere in San Mateo County, that's similar enough to this that we can say, we like what they did, we're going to do that? It's already been approved, let's just dust off the plans and use it.
As part of the project, we'll go ahead and look at other locations. Off the top of my head, I'm just scanning, coming down from Daly City all the way down to Colma, going through South San Francisco. Pretty bad intersections. El Camino Real doesn't really have much to rely on. Going down, going through Burlingame, San Mateo, I mean, it's pretty much the same. You got a 4-lane road, a lot of traffic going in. The condition of the pavement is not that great. Caltrans is not really allowing or wanting to have a lot of amenities because it would actually reduce the level of service if you put any kind of a facility that constricts the roadway. So we're pretty much limited. I mean, going even down to San Carlos, all the way to the Woodside, going down past 84, down to Menlo Park. I don't really recall any intersection that actually grabs my attention. We will look at it again, though. But in order for us to be able to work with Caltrans, we have to really think about out-of-the-box strategies to make sure that whatever we propose will be accepted. So we will have to go back and forth with Caltrans and come up with alternatives that would be acceptable. And we may actually set a stage for something new that other city could copy.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, something that occurred to me during the director's comments, not in the staff report, and I just thought of now, and that is that it's very important for these sorts of pedestrian crossings to be engineered and for the city to approve those engineering drawings as part of the construction for liability purposes. You might remember some years ago there was a very tragic incident on El Camino Real in another city, fortunately not ours, in which the city ended up having to pay a lot of money to a person because the intersection or the crossing wasn't specifically delineated. I don't remember the facts of the case specifically, but that's one of the reasons why engineering is very desirable in these situations, to make sure that the city can address any liability claims that come if somebody were to be injured in the crosswalk that's ultimately designed.
Any more discussion or action by the council?
I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Salazar.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.